Hi, I'm Danielle, and I'm so glad that you're here because together we're going to work through big stuff. Hello and welcome to Big Stuff. Today we are diving into a how are you really, because one of our listeners, she wrote into me and she is completely torn apart. She is torn apart by something that I think everyone is going to relate to today. That is the weight of expectation. This person wrote in, and let's call her Surfer Girl. This person wrote in, and Surfer Girl said to me that she really loves her family. She genuinely, deeply loves her family and loves being connected and part of that family unit. But their vision for her life is not the same as what she has. Like the vision that is calling her soul is nothing like what it is that they want for her. They want the lawyer. They want the stable job, the multi-million-dollar achievement. They want, even more importantly than any of that, is they want her to be nearby. Whereas she's got wanderlust. This beauty has got wanderlust. She wants to travel the world. She wants to surf the breaks. She wants the salt in her hair. She wants to live a really simple life. She works a job that can be done from anywhere, and she wants adventure while she can. Something else that she said to me, which I found super interesting, was that the thing that really grabbed her in a past episode, which was the podcast where I was talking to my mum, the second part of that podcast. And she said she realized that we don't have time. Like, it really hit her hard when I was talking about time. And that's because everybody, when my mum died, kept saying that they thought that they had more time. And she clearly was someone who definitely had finite time. So if in that particular circumstance, people were feeling that they needed more time, like, are we all living that way? We don't have infinite time to live our one big, beautiful life. And yet so many of us are spending these precious finite days of ours living somebody else's dream instead of really living our own. And maybe your version of this is not around, traveling the world and living on surf breaks. That might sound unstable. It might sound awful. You might hate having sand in your bum crack. But maybe the expectation, the weight of other people's expectations that you are living under is something as simple as you want to work part-time so that you can finally study that thing that you've always been curious about. Or maybe there is an expectation that the next step in your relationship is you having children, but that is not something that appeals to you or you see on your horizon. Maybe you want to leave a corporate job and do something that pays less but lights you up. You feel excited about it. Or maybe it's like choosing not to be the primary caregiver of aging parents when there is a big family expectation that it's going to be you. It's you that's going to land on. So whatever this thing is for you, right? The details are different, but the weight of responsibility and the weight of expectation is the same. You know what you want, and it is not what is expected of you. So today we're going to be unpacking expectations from family, from society, and from ourselves, and what it actually costs us when we say yes to somebody else's vision and no to our own. The thing that really trips us up is the idea of, I think, this control. The people want this thing from me. They're trying to control my life. And that therefore may make them like bad in some way. Here's the thing that we need to remember, ultimately, when people have expectations for us, for our lives, they want the best for us. People don't have expectations for your life because they want it to be shit, right? They are thinking, this is what's going to make you happy. These steps that might be tried and true by them, by everyone they know, are the pathway to happiness. They truly believe that, and that is what they really want for you. Often it's also what they really want for themselves. They believe that you following this pathway is going to be the best for you and for them. And if you didn't care what they thought or how they felt, it would be relatively easy for you to just be like, nah, I'm doing my own thing. I don't care what you think. But ultimately, you love them as well. So you don't want to disappoint them. You don't want to hurt them. And you don't want to be seen to be necessarily like the one who's going outside the lines that have been pre-drawn. So let's for a moment just recognize that everyone in this situation is coming from a place of love and wanting everyone here to be happy, healthy, and well and abundant, all of those things. Let's just imagine that everyone is coming from a really good place. When we have this kind of thing going on, let's take the surfer girl for an example. Her family want her to be nearby and they want her to be successful and they want her to be happy. And their fear is that this alternate lifestyle to anyone that they know is going to ultimately lead to some kind of misery, destitution, and an inability to like live a normal life or to integrate back into a normal life. It's just so foreign to them. It can be the same with not wanting to have a child. It can be so difficult for people to understand that a woman might not want a child or a couple might not want to procreate, that it's unfathomable. It's really important for you to be able to continue to coming back to this vision of your life that you have and a values aligned, like living aligned with your values. Now, when Surfer Girl wrote into me, she said, I'm really confused, which was super interesting because she said, like, I'm really confused. My family want this for me, but I want to live on an island, surf a great break, work my own business and be away from my family. I have found this place in the world where I feel really at home. I'm so confused. But that doesn't sound like confusion in the slightest, right? She told me very explicitly what it is she wants. The confusion comes from it being so different from what everybody expects from her. And then the confusion is, am I allowed to want something? Do I have permission to live outside of this very specific, like, colored lines that other people have created for me? Am I allowed to do that? This is when we start getting into the juicy stuff of breaking out of the expectation cycle. Is there is no one that is going to give you permission for you to live your one big, beautiful life. You have to be the one that says, I'm going to do this because this is what I want. And it's okay. Here we go. It's okay if you can't see this vision. It's okay if you don't approve of this decision. It's okay if you don't love this decision. But what I ask from you is that you just support me either way. That you just let me have a go at this thing that I want. When you understand where everybody is coming from here, so your parents might want a particular job for you or a particular lifestyle for you because they don't want you to struggle. Maybe they have struggled in their lives or they've seen their friends struggle or their parents struggled. Maybe, there are these expectations around having kids because people think that this is what a family unit needs to look like. And if you don't have a family unit, then who is going to take care of you when you're older? But let me tell you, there is no guarantee that your kids are going to take care of you when you are older, because who knows what's going to happen between then and now. We don't know what the family dynamic is going to be. We don't know who these people are going to turn out to be. And really, is that what we want? Do we want to just have children so that we've got people to look after us when we're old? Or do we want them to be living their big, beautiful life when they get older, Siblings might expect you to be the primary caregiver because, you're the closest one. You're the one who works for yourself. You are the one that's always had the best relationship. You are responsible, whatever it is. Ultimately, it's probably because it is convenient for them. We can recognize that. But also it's really not taking into consideration, the fact of what everybody's role is, or is this actually a role that we want to take on? We have free will. We have the capacity to choose. There can be an expectation for you to be at certain events, an expectation for you to take certain roles in certain events, for you to be the organizer because you always organize it, for you to be the MC, or for you to be whatever, because that is what a good friend does. This is the expectation, right? All of this just feels so weighted, so heavy. And that's what makes this so damn hard, because of course we want to be good people. Who doesn't want to be a good person? I want to be a good person. I want people to think that I'm a good person. And I also want people to support the decisions that I make for my life. However, that cannot be my driver for the ultimate choices that I make. They have to come from an aligned place. What is the best thing for me, for my life, my vision for my life, and what I want? Bonnie Ware was a palliative care nurse. And while she was caring for hundreds, maybe even thousands of people to their very death, she had a lot of conversations. She turned those conversations into a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying, which is a really life-affirming book. I've done a lot of research into dead, dying books as preparation for my next book that will be coming out. And I have found the more of these books that I've read, the more life-affirmed I actually am. And the number one regret that Bonnie Ware heard time and time again was not, I wish I lived up to the expectations of my parents. No, it was not, I wish I worked more, or I achieved more, or I made more money, or I had greater success. No, the number one regret of the dying was, I wish I had courage to live life true to myself and not the life that others expected of me. Don't be that person. Don't be that person who in your final hours, final moments thinks, I wish I had have lived life for me and not through what others expected. We are all running out of time. And I know that sounds really dramatic, because we might actually live for another 40, 50, 60 years. I don't know. Like, who knows with medical advances? Okay. I don't actually want to live another 60 years. That'll make me 110. Pretty much all of my friends will be dead. My body will be quite clapped out. I've seen like plus 100-year-old people, and it's a quality of life thing. So we don't actually want to live forever. Our time is finite. Our time is finite. So don't regret not taking risks, because people time and time again report the risks that they didn't take. The life that they didn't live is what they regret more than any mistakes, more than any missteps. People regret abandoned dreams. That's what they regret. At the end of life, nobody ever thinks, and I'm quite sure of this, with zero research, nobody has ever thought, I'm really glad I stayed in a job that I hated because it was secure. I'm really glad that I sacrificed so many nights staying awake, stressing about this job that I hated, right? Or I'm really grateful I got married because all of my friends were doing it. I'm so happy that I sacrificed years of my life as a sole caregiver for aging parents because everybody expected it. And I know that there is a deep sense of responsibility with caring for aging parents. Don't think that I don't know that, because I do. But I see people time and again saying, I cannot put them into a home. I cannot do any of that. I have to take care of them myself. We cannot get support in. They will not have a nurse. They will not have a cleaner. But these are all choices that are being made through the lens of expectation. The thing is, you are not confused about what it is that you really want. And that is the biggest lie that you probably say to yourself, is that, oh, I don't know. But we can feel when we're out of alignment, because it really does feel like sand in your underpants. It does not feel like there is an excitement or a joy or something to look forward to every day, every week, every month. There isn't a confusion about what you want to do with your life. It is seriously a question in your mind about whether or not you are deserving and allowed to create the life that you want. Are you allowed? Do you have permission to create this life that you want? So the other thing that Surfer Girl went on to say was this compromise that she thought would be good, right? She'll do 3 months here, 9 months there. She will fly back every blah, blah. She will spend this family time. So she is negotiating to have permission, as opposed to, I would really want to have this quality time with them. It is then still coming from the sense of obligation. This is the compromise that I need to make to be in order to have permission to live the way that I want. Can you see the difference? I would love to spend 3 months a year with my family, or in order to be allowed to live overseas, then I have to come back for 3 months a year. It doesn't matter that it's the same result. It's just feeling like you have to do that. You are obligated to do that in order to be allowed to do what you want. You don't need to pay for permission to have the life you want. Does that make sense? You don't need to negotiate the permission. You get to give it to yourself. You can write yourself a permission slip. Like Liz Gilbert talked about, when you went to the principal and the principal would give you a permission slip, or your mum would write a permission slip for a uniform, a change of uniform, and then you'd have to give that to your teacher. You can write your own permission slip these days because you are a grown-up. You are a grown-ass human, and you get to make the decisions for your life, even when there are expectations that you will do something else. What this permission might also look like is, staying at your job just one more year, giving it another try to see if you can turn it around, going to one more family commitment, like one more family gathering to show commitment before moving away from the family, or trying one more round of IVF because you feel like you owe your partner that, even though you're already exhausted and heartbroken and over it. I really invite you, I should say, to check in on what are your choices versus what are the payments you believe you need to make to the imaginary debt of expectation. Are these your choices, aligned choices, or are they payments that you believe you need to make for the imaginary debt on expectation? That is a huge question. And only you know the answer. But you've got to be really honest with yourself. You've got to get super clear and super honest with yourself about, firstly, what it is that you really want. So I did a little bit of research into this. So a 2023 APA study said that 64% of adults make major life decisions based on the expectations of others. That's a lot, guys. 64% of us make decisions based on the expectations of others. That's nearly 2 out of 3 people. And those same people that reported that said that they also experienced significantly higher anxiety, depression, and life dissatisfaction. So the dilemma right? Of stay in the job, leave the job, stay in the relationship, leave the relationship, live the life that I want, travel the world, or get this serious job that my family want. Whatever your set of circumstances are, you are not alone. You are not alone. There is 2 out of 3 people feeling something really similar to you right now. So that's kind of comforting. That is kind of comforting. You're not broken. You're not ungrateful. You are not selfish. You're just human, right? And we as humans, we are complex, beautiful, flawed, flawsome, amazing creatures. And life is a little bit messy. Life is not black and white. There's a lot of gray area. So you are trying to navigate an impossible task, which is honoring other people whilst honoring yourself. Yeah. It's crunchy, isn't it? How do we honor everybody at the same time? You can't. You literally can't. But what if the sense of expectation that you are wrestling with isn't put on you by somebody else? What if the expectation monster that you are grappling is an expectation that you are putting on yourself? Something you think you should want, but when you really think about it, you don't want it at all. What then? Like how if nobody's put you in this cage, how do you break out of this cage? Like where have these expectations come from? Society feeds us so many messages around what we should want, what we should do, how we should live. So that's a huge one. We're all consuming more and more social media than ever before. And social media is a really loud place with lots of like banging cymbals and drums of how you should live your life and what the expectation is for a good life, for success, for happiness, all that sort of stuff. There can also be this real sense of feeling like we should be content with stability or being close to our family, or we should be content with the corner office when maybe the thing that we thought we wanted, we no longer do, right? Maybe we want something different than the thing that we've created. So we put this expectation that this thing might make us really happy, might make us feel like we are achieving, like we're successful. But when we get there, it hasn't actually done that. Now, I'm going to suggest that there's probably some deeper work to do around self-worth, around your value, around your capacity for impact outside of what it is that you do. But there is often this thought that if we get to this thing and it doesn't feel the way we thought it would, there is a sense of failure. There is something wrong with us if we now want something different. I know that the women that I work with often feel like they are supposed to achieve, and then when they do, it doesn't feel like they thought it would. In fact, it can feel empty. It can feel miserable. Chasing somebody else's definition of success, or even chasing your own definition of success, might not be as lush when you get there as you thought it was going to be. You might have thought that on paper, a life with all the trappings, a life with success, with houses, with cars, with the great relationship, I should be happy. It should feel amazing. And yet here I am, I'm still feeling discontent. Or maybe we've just somehow, many, many times through many small and big steps, created an entire life through a sense of expectation from ourselves, from others, from society at large. Have we created the life that really lights us up? There is nothing wrong with asking these questions and finding that yes, this is a life built from expectation. There is nothing wrong with that. It is okay to have a sudden realization that we have created this existence, this cage around ourselves. It is okay. The question is, what are you going to do about it now? My dad died at 69. My mum died at 75. So I am turning 50 in 26. So if I have as much life as them, maybe I've got 20, maybe I've got 25 years, my lifestyle is much better. I don't have a pre-existing condition or a degenerative disease. Maybe I'm going to live to 80. So let's say that's like 30 years. Maybe I'm going to live to 90. That's 40 years. What do we want our finite time to look like? All of us has a ticking clock, every single one of us. So what is important to really understand when we are looking at this expectation versus what we actually want is we're not choosing between two options. We are choosing between two identities. Yeah? This version of myself, that version of myself, the good, compliant, the stays within the boundaries, within the lines version of myself that is palatable, that is lovable, that is, not too out there, too weird. There's that version, or there is the other version that does what the hell you want to do when you want to do it. You are choosing between the life that people imagine for you and the life you imagine for yourself. Two identities. And that is the thing that makes this kind of terrifying. Should I be the woman that people think I should be? Or should I be the woman who I truly know that I am? That's terrifying, because we don't want to go against the tide. We don't want to go against the grain. We don't want to go against the tribe. We are asking, am I someone who follows a traditional path, or am I someone who blazes their own trail? And blazes their own trail without actually even knowing how it's going to end up. I mean, we know how things end up when you go the traditional path. I mean, we don't necessarily, obviously life always throws curly ones, but when we do something completely off track, off piste, we might never have seen somebody doing that before. It's important to remember that the people who truly love you might be disappointed, they might be shocked, they might not really understand, but they will love you nonetheless. And they might even respect you on some level because you are living truly for yourself. They're allowed to grieve the version of you that they imagined. That's okay too. Maybe you will grieve a version of you that you imagined. That's totally normal. But their love for you cannot be bigger than your love for you and for the version of you that you know is waiting for you. Maybe your family members will struggle. Maybe your partner will struggle. Maybe you will struggle. Maybe people will need to adjust to these new visions and versions of identity and lives. And that's okay. That's okay. Humans are very adaptable. There is also a possibility that you might lose people, and that can be painful. But I ask you, or I invite you, or inspire you to not lose yourself. Don't abandon yourself for the sake of other people. I'm going to say to you, don't have the conversation, okay? Don't avoid this. Have the conversation around the feeling and the weight of the expectation that you are experiencing and what it is that you actually want. Share the truth with love. Yeah. And that is really important. Share your truth with love. Tell them what you want and why it matters, and tell them that, this is your life, and you respect what it is that they want for you. You respect the love and the place that they're coming from, but what you actually want for your life, they need to respect as well. You can ask them, and this is a huge one, ask them to trust you. Ask them to trust that you know the best thing for your life. Ask them to trust that you know what it is that you really want and what you really need, and that you have the capacity to figure it out as you go if it's not something that they have ever seen done before. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You absolutely don't owe anyone an explanation, but you do owe yourself and them clarity and the opportunity to support. And how that is received is not, you can't control that. You can just control how you share your message and how you execute the steps after that to transition from whatever that space was into wherever it is that you're going. So have compassion with yourself and have compassion with the people who love you. This is a situation that is born from love. But the thing that I, really learned from my mum's death is the people that you love, they don't need you to be perfect. They don't need you to be conventional. They don't need you to be what they expected. They need you to be alive, right? They need you to be living fully. And you need you to be living fully. You can't do that from inside a cage of expectations. You just can't. So in closing, I'm just going to say to you, you get one life, one big, bold, beautiful life. Now, I do believe that we get more, but in this body, in this lifetime, this is it, right? You get one crack at it. So don't spend it living in a way that you're out of alignment with, living in a way that you don't want to be living, building a dream that isn't yours, sacrificing yourself for an identity that somebody else has placed on you, and trust that people will be okay if you live your own life. But the question is, will you be okay if you don't? And I believe that you already know the answer. So go away and have a little think about that. If this resonates with you, then feel free to reach out and get in touch. That is the end of season 1 of Big Stuff Podcast. I want to thank you so much for listening, but we are not disappearing. You are going to be getting the summer series, which is a series of mini masterclasses where we're gathering some of the gems from the amazing people that have been on this season, and we will be compiling them into themes of mini masterclasses. So you will have as much Danielle in your ears. Big Stuff will still be dropping. We might have a week or 2 break. It depends how quickly we can get this together, but I am not going anywhere. Season 2 will be coming soon. And thank you for being here, because Spotify actually just gave me my Wrapped for the year, and Big Stuff Podcast was more successful than 89% of new podcasts in 2025. You, my beautiful listeners, who have made this a successful podcast in the eyes of Spotify. So thank you for being here. I love you, and I will see you really soon. Bye. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode of Big Stuff as much as I enjoyed recording it for you. Now, if you did enjoy this episode, it would really help me if you wanted to share it with just one person that you think is going to get something out of it. And also feel free to drop a comment. All of these things really help podcasts to gain more ears, and that's what we're really here for. Also, be sure to subscribe, then you will never miss an episode. If you want to find out more about me, who I am, what I do, then you can go and check me out at daniellecolley.com.au. I'll see you next episode for more Big Stuff.